Hello, colleagues. This is DeRionne. I'm greeting you again as I do most Fridays from my office at home, where we're still living in the midst of this pandemic. And with all of the conversation and the discourse around the pandemic and the protests that are happening across the nation, it's easy to forget that in the midst of this, at Montgomery College this summer, we're welcoming new students to our campus. So let me first say welcome to them, and we're so happy to have you here and hope that you have a truly transformational experience while you're at Montgomery College. But I also want to say thank you to our colleagues who are serving these students each and every day. These students are not on our campuses per se, so I think we have to be very deliberate and think about special ways in which we can outreach to them and help them feel more connected to who we are and what the Montgomery College experience is. Now, in response to some of the links that I put in my message that went out to the college community on Monday, one new student wrote back to me and offered this commentary. Quote, "This is exactly what I needed. It is as if you knew exactly what we need and what we want as students at the right time. This is the first time in a remote class, and I'm determined to do my best in all of my classes. I plan to use all of the resources that are available to me." Thank you for that message. It warms my heart, and I'm so glad that it resonated with you. Now, as would be expected, the funeral of George Floyd and all of the things that are happening around us in the nation continue to generate email responses to me, and I'd love to take an opportunity to share some of those with you. From a faculty member in criminal justice, "My compliments for your thoughts on the positive opportunity created for discussion within our Montgomery College community. If not within our learning community, then where? Many of our students are first-generation college participants, and this discussion on race and related topics will filter into their homes, business organizations, and community-based organizations. This college is in a position to build strength, compassion, and attention to the nature of current issues. It is not work for someone else. It is work for us. It is an honor for me to be a faculty member and to be a member of a learning community where we all welcome a sincere and open commitment to social justice." That's very touching because I think that's where the rubber actually meets the road, what happens in our classrooms. I think the intellectual rigor that our faculty bring to these types of conversations in their teaching only inform and help our students grow more thoughtfully and more deeply and become more engaged in what's happening around them. I happen to think this is one of our finest assets at Montgomery College. Now, here's another from a counseling faculty member who says, quote, "I wanted to share my thoughts with you in the wake of the pandemic and George Floyd's murder. I feel so lucky to be working at MC and living in Silver Spring. I grew up moving with my family around the U.S., and I think that MC and Silver Spring represent the best of the U.S. We're not perfect, but we do focus on inclusion, growth, quality of life, and integrity. Your messages have been both powerful and sustaining." Now, finally, here's one from last week that caught my attention. And I don't know who this is, but I think their comment is worth sharing. And it was a simple one. "Nowhere have you mentioned Native Americans." Now, I think that's an interesting observation and one I'm still processing a lot. All week, I've been listening to the many conversations that have been going on around race, policing, and politics, and all the convoluted history of this particular country, all in the wake of Mr. Floyd's murder. One topic that keeps coming up, though, is silence. How many people of color have been silenced by police violence? We're only starting to record these incidents in the 20th century, so we know that there are many more that may exist that will never have been recorded. How many stories have been silenced as a result of that? And these are powerful, and I would also say painful questions that we have to confront. This person's comment about Native Americans made me pause and think. And as I said a few moments ago, I'm still pausing and thinking about it. In conversations about race, the sin of omission can be oftentimes as hurtful as the sin of commission. Acknowledging those people who've had no voice at the table or whose voices have been limited or silenced or muted, and whose stories have not been told in academia is a part of our communal work around racial justice. Those stories need to come to the forefront. They need to be acknowledged and lifted up, and they have to be moved from the margins to the center of the conversations that we're having. Radical inclusion requires this of us, and I'm grateful to be reminded of that by our colleagues, whether it be a student or someone who works at the organization. And as a result of that comment and so many more, I will work to do more, to be a better listener, to be more inclusive, to be more aware, and to be more conscious about how these issues play out in the multiple spaces and intersections that Montgomery College dwells in. So I thank you. My presidential dialogue series is an opportunity for me to really think about how I can delve into these issues more in depth, and we try to do that. And right now we're actually talking about what those themes might be in the upcoming year. I know that there are many places that are taking these conversations at our organization, in the classrooms that are happening virtually, and our student support services where those things are happening virtually, all those student activities that are happening virtually. And I know that there's great potential for growth when we take the opportunity to pause and listen to who's at the table and also listen to who's not at the table. And to remember that all those voices deserve to be heard. We have work to do, and I'd ought to offer that the best place that I think that we can do that work is Montgomery College. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend. Take care and be well.